Thank you for joining this, our thefoodieguy.com deep dive. Today, we're really digging into mastering restaurant profit and loss, our mission. Well, it's to unpack the financial side. What really makes a food operation succeed or fail. It's about getting past the basics to see what it truly takes to thrive. Because let's be honest, running a restaurant is incredibly tough. You're juggling staffing, inventory costs, buying things, marketing, and maybe most importantly, the finances. It's a lot. So, okay, let's unpack that challenge. TheFoodieGuy.com really drives home how difficult this job is. It's not just about working hard, right? It seems like sharp financial management is key. For someone wanting an edge in this really competitive field, what's the foundational mindset they need?
Yeah, that's a great point. What's really fascinating, what the foodieguy.com highlights, is that success isn't just, hitting one target and you're done. They describe it as more of a journey rather than a destination.
A journey, okay.
Exactly. It requires constant oversight and never-ending readjusting of processes and strategies. You're always reacting to changing business needs. So think of it less like checking a box and more like building like a financial nervous system for the whole operation.
A financial nervous system, I like that. And thefoodieguy.com also mentions that efficiency and profitability doesn't happen overnight. It needs, and this is their phrase, a strong financial acumen. So for our listeners, maybe they're in the thick of it, running a place, or maybe just keenly interested, why is this financial acumen so critical? What does it really mean beyond just, balancing the checkbook?
Right. It's much more than just counting. Financial acumen, well, it's the skill to take those raw numbers and turn them into actual intelligence you can act on. It's understanding why a number looks the way it does. Why is food cost high? Why did labor spike? And crucially, what levers can you actually pull to change things? Our source material, thefoodieguy.com, really stresses tracking very specific performance metrics and tracking them daily.
Daily, wow.
Yes, daily. Which leads us to a really key question.
Yep.
When we talk about financial health, what are the absolute must-watch numbers on a profit and loss statement? The things an operator simply has to master.
Okay, this is where it gets really practical, I think, for anyone trying to crack that code. TheFoodieGuy.com breaks the P&L down into three main areas you've got to constantly keep your eyes on. Can you walk us through those? What makes each one so vital?
Absolutely. And think of the P&L less like a dusty report and more like a real-time dashboard for your business's health. So first up, you've got the top of the page. This is your income streams, your sales.
Okay, the money coming in.
Exactly. But it's not just the total amount. It's about understanding the quality of that revenue. Where's it coming from? Dine-in, delivery, catering, maybe even merch. You need to know how your pricing, your menu mix, your marketing, how all that directly hits this top line. It's the starting point, sure, but the real insight is understanding how you're making that money and if it's sustainable.
Got it. So dissecting the sales, what's next?
Next, we move to the middle of the page. And this, honestly, is often where restaurants make or break it. We're talking about prime costs.
Prime costs.
Yeah, primarily your food cost and your labor cost.
Yeah.
What's really critical here is that they tie directly to your sales volume. More customers usually means higher food and labor spend.
Right, they're variable.
Precisely. They're variable, but they're also your biggest and most controllable expenses if you manage them well. Take food cost, your COGS, cost of goods sold. It's not just the price of potatoes. It's managing waste, it's portion control, and negotiating with suppliers, even designing your menu smartly to optimize that food cost percentage. And similarly with labor cost, it's more than just the hourly wage. It's smart scheduling, cross-training staff so they're flexible, watching overtime like a hawk, making sure your staffing levels actually match your customer flow. These two together, food and labor, make up your prime cost. And monitoring that, ideally as a percentage of sales, is probably the most critical daily task. Even tiny leaks here can sink your profits fast.
Wow, okay. Daily vigilance on those two. So, top is sales, middle is food and labor. What's at the bottom?
So the bottom of the page covers your operating expenses and other non-variable costs. These are things like rent, insurance, utilities, maybe marketing expenses, loan payments, salaries for managers.
No more fixed stuff.
Generally, yeah.
Yeah.
They don't swing quite as directly with every sale you make. But fixed doesn't mean you ignore them. A smart operator is always looking here, too. Can you negotiate a better lease when it's up for renewal? Find ways to save on energy? Is that marketing campaign actually bringing people in the door?
Right. Still room for optimization.
Always. So if you connect all three parts, understanding your sales drivers at the top, tightly controlling your prime costs in the middle, and optimizing your operating expenses at the bottom, that's how you gain real control. It lets you make informed decisions about everything from menu prices to staffing levels, even to whether you can afford to expand. So, bringing this all together for you, the listener, whether you're running a restaurant, thinking about it, or even just applying these ideas to, I don't know, your own side hustle, it sounds like the core message is proactive control. Is that fair?
That's exactly it. Proactive, informed control. That means constantly looking at these three P&L sections. Not just glancing, but actively digging in, looking for trends, asking questions, seeking ways to improve. Sales, prime costs, operating expenses. You have to be ready for that never-ending readjusting that the foodieguy.com talks about. That's the heart of sustainable profit. It really hammers home that idea. If profitability is more of a journey than a destination, then understanding your P&L in this way is your navigation system. It tells you where you are constantly and helps you plot the course ahead. And that makes me think, it raises an interesting question for everyone listening. If understanding these continuous adjustments, this constant tweaking, is so vital for business success, what kind of ongoing iterative metrics could you track in your own professional development, or maybe even a personal project you care about? How could you measure your own growth to ensure it's continuous, rather than just thinking of it as reaching one single goal?
That's a great thought to leave people with. Hope this deep dive was helpful. Please join our hundreds of listeners in over 11 countries and visit our blog at thefoodie-guy.com for much more content. For your convenience, this deep dive has also been made available in Spanish. You can also listen to this deep dive on YouTube, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, Spotify, Pandora, and most other deep dive platforms. Thanks for listening.